is the complete male armor. I couldn't, no, I have a big inventory of pictures from Iranian museums, but I couldn't find one which shows male armor completely on a horse armor. I mean, not human beings, I have a lot, but on horses.
Yeah, they're quite artists were quite happy to show male armor and even plate and mail where you can actually see the little plates and everything.
Yes.
That happens too. Um, I I just think the number of people wearing armor in Persian miniatures compared to the number of horses wearing armor, I think it's a sampling error that there aren't as many horses. So maybe there's one or two paintings and maybe we just haven't come across them yet. Uh, the other thing is there is a different type of plate and mail, which I think the horse armors were more likely to be made. When I was in Korea in the National Museum in Seoul, there was a plate and mail armor of roughly the late Yuan dynasty period.
Mhm.
So 1300s to mid 1300s. And it was rectangular plates completely surrounded by mail. So the plates didn't overlap like in a Bektash or a plate and mail armor in the Middle East. They were little islands of steel. But of course, riveted mail between them, it would have been a very strong armor. And when you look at some of the horse armors, you start to think maybe that's the structure they're using because it would make something that was easy to put on a horse. Like bits wouldn't stick. You could put it on like a blanket instead of putting it on like a cuirass or something. Because as a person who was possibly one of the worst horsemen in the world, I was terrible. Because when I was riding, I had major vision problems, which I didn't really know about, which meant that you could never get that perfect balance. Every now and then I was really well balanced on a horse, but it surprised me. But the thing that I noticed was that putting things on horses, like saddles and blankets and straps and bridles and all this kind of stuff, the more gently you could do it, the less trouble you had with your horse. The more some saddles are quite stiff and they're flaps and you put them on the horse and the flap slaps the horse on the other side and the horse is just not happy and it starts not to trust you because it thinks this guy keeps doing things to me that are uncomfortable. um, we found you could get a horse used to almost anything, but you had to do it gently. And the horse had to be able to be distracted to do the things you wanted it to do. So it didn't worry. I have never put a horse armor on a horse because I've never made a horse armor because the amount of work I could make three armors for a person.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And so unless somebody commissioned you to do it, you wouldn't do it. I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I would really like to make something look like one of those miniature paintings. But on the other hand, at my age, the chances of me getting a chance to finish that and the several other armors people have showed interest in, I don't think it's going to happen. I should be realistic. Um,
Yes. And
but
the next
still,
one, the next one is very interesting. Plate and
oh,
mail armor. This
isn't
one
that
on
a
the
good
left side is,
comparison?
yes, is Musée des
Yeah,
Armées in Paris, Army
yeah,
Museum in Paris. And now look on the right side from Timurid period. Go ahead,
yeah.
please.
Well, several things to point out. First of all, for those who are unaware, that is not an Oriental saddle on the horse. That is the European knight saddle of some sort or other. Uh, Oriental saddles do not look like that, and the person wouldn't be riding with his legs straight down. It's just what you could do in a museum at the time this model was made. The armor, I'm not sure. Several of these armors are either Mamluk or Turkish or Akoyanlu. Um, they're almost so similarly, it's very
I
difficult
need
to
to
tell them
mention
apart.
something regarding this armor. This armor is the army museum, and many of these Ottoman items, not many, but yeah, yes, you sure, many of them were also taken as booty when Napoleon campaigned in North Africa. But they classify it in this museum as Mameluke Ottoman Mamelukes. I just wanted to mention that. But again,
Well, that would make sense because when Napoleon was there, the Mamelukes had re-established de facto control of Egypt,
yes,
um, and they had arsenals with stored weapons and armor in them. This armor is much earlier
yes, much earlier.
than when it was collected. I mean, this
Yes,
is clearly
definitely.
15th, 16th century armor.
Yes, yes,
Um, you notice how smoothly it covers the horse.
yes,
And you can see it in the miniature too. The miniature has it shows the rows of mail alternating. I'm guessing alternating in color to make the band effect to make it
yes,
look segmented. Um, and the scales on the neck armor on the top of the horse's neck are shown as vertical, whereas in the real armor they're horizontal
yeah.
to the axis of the horse's neck. That I think is just artistic license. It looks nice when you do it in a painting, but in
Pete,
reality, that's
Pete, look at
yeah,
this. Look at the order of plates here. They're
yeah.
similar here. What Pete
Oh, very
mentioned,
much so.
yeah, what Pete mentioned
Yeah,
is the placing here, which is different from the original one. But what is also
yeah,
interesting, Pete, these are definitely male. You can see these links.
yeah,
And also between these plates, there is one link. Do you see that? It's so interesting. Do you
yeah.
see?
Well, you see that in the plate and mail body armors where if you've got two rows of plates either side of the opening,
Yeah.
often the center row doesn't have a row of mail between it. It just is linked by individual links.
Yes.
And that I think is what we're seeing here. Uh,
Ziga, I need to
it's
mention
it,
that to Ziga, who asked us to do this video, because Ziga told me, oh, these type of armors are never represented. Here you have in a Persian miniatures one to one. I just wanted
oh yeah,
to show Ziga. Ziga,
yeah,
you see, this is not, and there are many of them. But with Pete,
yeah,
we wanted to show you that there are examples one to one. You see
yeah,
that clearly here, right?
yeah.
Go ahead, please. Excuse me.
And to point out that this isn't just an artistic feature. If you look at the armors above,
Yeah,
the purple bluish armor and the greenish armor, they're entirely different. They're made in an entirely different style.
yeah,
They're a laminated armor, possibly made from individual scales laced together like lamellar or like scale. They
yeah,
may be scale for
yeah.
all I know. But the point is that the artist could differentiate between the different styles
Yes,
of armor because they were real things that they saw.
yes. And one more thing I just wanted to mention, what was that? Okay, that possibly, because before someone come, why are they yellow? Could be that they're gilded, or things like that. So I just wanted to mention that. Yeah,
Yeah, gilding metal parts was quite common. It had two purposes. It showed you're rich,
yeah,
which is very important, and it also gilding could protect the iron from rust.
yes. And look at the one
So
on the right side. Here we have the same structure bead. Do you see? But these are not gilded.
yeah,
You see that? Yeah.
yeah. Only the bands are gilded,
Yes.
and that's interesting too because look at the difference in color. That may have been bright silver when it was originally painted, and
Yes.
it's
Yes.
the silver paint has oxidized into a dark color. That's why swords are often black in paintings, in case
Yes.
anyone ever wondered whether, because there's a very famous type of water steel called Kara Khorasan,
Yes.
and it doesn't mean it was jet black.
No, it was not. No.
It's just it's black Khorasan because that's what they like. It's really interesting when you see the armor on the left. You see that almost goes down to the well, it's actually this joint,
Mm.
but the horse lifting its legs, galloping or anything, would just push the whole armor forward a bit and then fall
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And when you see the painting, you could see the same thing that the armor is covering halfway down the upper part of the horse's leg.
Yeah.
And when the horse is galloping, the armor's kind of flaring to give it space,
Yes.
which is, natural.
Yes.
And you would learn that when you started making fabric armors, when
Yes.
you started putting metal plates and stuff in,
Yes.
you already knew how to shape the armor to get the
S-
most efficient
So let us go
design.
through the classification before we go into real detail. First type, fabric armor.
Yeah.
Second, horse armor, reinforced fabric armor. Third one, brigandine and scale armor. Fourth one, lamellar and laminated armor.
Yeah.
Fifth one, mail armor. Sixth one, plate and mail armor, Joshan. Now we go
Mhm.
ahead and we go now one by one. Be it we discuss about Khavaranam. Before we go to Khavaranam, sorry. If we go through the deal, real deal. I mean, not that miniatures are not real deal. About
Yeah,
examples, this is Musée d'Art. Maybe we already talked about it, but here is a bigger picture, a larger one,
yeah.
so our viewers can take a look at that.
And you can see from the straps how the panels fit together. So
Yeah.
this is not one big thing; it's several different pieces, and they have straps and buckles, and they all fit together.
Mhm.
Um, it gives you a bit of flexibility. A thing if you go to war on a horse, that horse is going to be big and plump at the beginning of the campaign, and a few weeks in, it's not getting good food all the time, and that's doing a lot of exercise. It gets leaner and leaner and leaner. So having the ability to adjust your armor is really useful,
Yes, it
uh, because the same thing happens to the person as well. You start off the campaign fit and healthy, and as the campaign goes on, the food becomes more restricted. You're
is.
doing a lot of exercise. Um, the encampments aren't possibly the most healthy places to be,
Yeah,
so you might lose a lot of weight really quickly.
yeah,
Um, so it's important to know these things that armor you can't have an armor that just fits you at one particular point when
yeah.
you're all bulked up and everybody's really healthy. In fact, if you look at the training of horses in Central Asia for war,
Yes,
because there's quite a few documented observations of it, they actually trained the horses to be lean,
yes,
so they didn't have that huge change in size. And even going back to the Mitanni, Kikuli's training for um, chariot horses, same thing. They trained them to be lean and muscular because they believed, probably rightly, that the horse could survive better starting from that base rather than starting from a plump uh, and somewhat overfed horse, which happened. If you didn't have to travel long distances, you didn't worry about these things. But in Iran and in the Ottoman Empire, in Central Asia, in northern India, campaigns could be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kilometers from point A to point B. So, pardon me. But that's a really good armor,
yes,
except for
absolutely.
the saddles.
We have a picture from the other side.
Yeah, see how the armor sits on the man's leg and
Yeah,
how that matches the whole thing. So it doesn't. The horse protects the inner parts of the thighs where those big arteries are,
mm,
um, but the outside and the outside of the knee is protected really quite well.
mm.
The horse armor, see, it to use a clothing thing, it drapes on the horse.
Yeah, it does.
Now,
Does.
plate and mail is quite good at letting air in and out. It could get hot, but it could help the horse cool down. Horses sweat a lot when they do exercise, and that sweat is salty and corrosive. So even with an armor like that, it probably had a separate cloth layer that was put underneath it to stop to absorb part of the horse's sweat. You couldn't get it all. So, galloping into battle over a couple of kilometers is not a good plan if you want your horse to be in good condition at the end. And it's not a good plan if you've got metal armor like this that you don't want to rust. Though, as we said with the miniature, it could be covered in it could be completely gilded. In fact, sometimes looking at some of these scales, you wonder if there's traces of gilding.
Yes.
Got to remember, an armor that's 500 years old in lots of little plates like that, it gets to a museum maybe 200, 300 years ago, and they decide, oh, it's looking a bit grotty. We'll just polish it all, and these little yellow bits, they'll all
Yeah,
go.
they
Because,
did it. They did it.
yeah, this happened. And it wasn't malicious or anything. It was the best they could do at the time.
Yeah,
The other thing to notice is look at how nicely the chamfron fits on the horse's head. Because the horse's head is really bony. Ours is really bony too, so we understand it. But
just to
see
say
how
that to you, I think Yes, in Jewels and Patent Crucible Steel, one of the books I bin Mansour about classification of um, precious stones, semi-precious stones, and crucible steel, which is also a jewel, I wrote. In the catalog, there is a beautiful Safavid period Shamshir, those early ones, thick blade, white, and mounted in Hungarian, well, style. And now the
Yeah.
thing is, this is a beautiful sword, polished blank, but it was has been Dr. Valkovsky before he died. He bought it from a very important family in Hungary, right?
Mhm.
Hungary or Poland? I don't remember. No, no, Poland. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So it
because
was
those
completely,
swords tended to
yeah,
move north.
polished blank. But now it had. If you go to the book, you see that where the cartouche Amal Asadullah is and Bande Shah Velayat Abbas, it is left.
Mhm.
Beautiful Persian patterned crucible steel. The rest they polished it blank. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was so angry. Who did that? And you know what he said? I said, it needs to be restored. He said, no, Manusher, no, no, no. This has been in family for hundreds of years. They
It's part
didn't
of its
polish it
history.
today. We cannot
Yeah,
change it. They polished it back then. You
yeah.
see, it's
I yeah.
interesting.
I know that I've got a Tula which is bright steel. And you think that's just, bright steel. And a friend of mine who knew more about woods than I did had a look at it and said, nah, that's just polished woods. You can just see gentle features in the surface that tell you. I was looking in a drawer a couple of nights ago, and I had a card and a Zero book, which is kind of like a miniature version of a curved
Yeah,
Pishkabs,
yeah,
and both with bone handles. And I picked up the card, and I thought it's rather nice looking. I didn't pay a lot when I bought it. But then
yes,
I looked really closely, and it was a Wootz blade. And I don't ever remember noticing it was a Wootz blade when I bought it. And
yeah,
you could just, I mean, in the right light, it wasn't etched or anything. It was
yes.
in the condition that the last owner left it. But you could just turn it a little bit, and you could see the pattern come out of the steel. I think the other one is too. And in the Middle East, the beauty of the pattern was really important to the people that owned these
Yes.
swords. But in the West, 200 years later, they've forgotten all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it gets polished, or it's got rusty. They don't know what to do with it. So they clean the rust off and then polish it because they don't have the knowledge that you can re-etch it. So, or maybe they thought the etching made it more likely to rust. There's all kinds of folk beliefs. But
Yes.
yeah, you'd see these things and you think to yourself, uh, I'm sympathetic to the curators because it's really hard. I mean, seriously, it's really hard
And
to know
this
what to
is,
do.
again, an imperial present to the Russian court, a complete
Mhm.
Ottoman armor from
Yeah, now
St.
that's really
Petersburg.
interesting.
Yes.
Again, the saddle is a museum fitting. It's not contemporary or even like what they use. Um, the lance looks right. Uh, the bridle is actually a step bridle. I mean, they were used in the Ottoman Empire too, um, but it could be Crimean Tartar or anything like that because it's got the right shape for it. See how solid the chamfron is?
Yes.
That's
Very.
a really solid piece of work.
Yes.
There's a lot of straps holding the sections of armor together,
Yes.
and the armor goes quite high up the horse's neck. It always. See, I think of in battle, horsemen would be able to strike at the top of the horse's neck, so you need protection there. Though a lot of the miniatures don't show any protection there; they show a kind of padding and straps going over. But if you're fighting against footmen, the underside of the horse's neck would be vulnerable to footmen with spears.
Yes.
And this one, they've carried the neck armor up high enough that the horse's head would cut. If the horse's head is in normal position, it would cover the area and it gives its neck a lot more freedom and probably adds to its comfort. The other thing that I'm noticing is that uh, so between the vertical rows of rectangular scales, the
Mhm.
male is probably only 3 rings wide, 1 ring in each scale and a central ring to hold them all together,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, which makes perfect sense
Yeah.
because uh, I would imagine putting one of these together is a lot faster than making a fully male
Yeah.
horse armor, because you
Yes.
only have to um, rivet 3 rings where
Mm.
there would be 20 or 30 in a fully male thing. Uh, as I say, the lance looks really nice.
Yes. Let me
Um,
see if I have more picture. Yeah, you can have some close-ups of the horse armor here
yeah.
as
Oh,
well.
yeah. This is see how remember from some of the Russian museums the leg armor that was in 2 or 3 pieces.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you take that design and then incorporate it into a plate and mail armor.
Yeah.
It's really, and he's got like a steel toe cap on his mail
Yes.
shoes.
Yes.
I mean, it's really quite amazing what they've done.
Yes.
Um, yeah, there's so the big rivets, big round rivets, are really for strap positioning, and
Yes.
I'm seeing a couple of rivet holes in some of the scales along the top edge where it's just below the saddle. I would say there was straps there to hold it to
Yeah.
the saddle cloth or something like that.
Yes.
Um, but
Bede, look at
yeah,
here.
see, yeah, look how nicely that's put together,
Yeah.
and the I'm looking at the way the buckles are made and everything. Everything is that's all really original.
Yeah.
You can see holes in the plates on the horse's back
Yes.
where other straps or some kind of there may be an understrap to hold
Yeah.
the plates down.
Yeah.
Um, the tail guard, it's just a kind of trapezoid,
Yes.
and they don't worry about putting a row of mail down the outside. They just put rings to close it off. So you could have put a row of mail down if you wanted to. Each rectangular scale has 1, 2, 3, 4 holes on each end. It's very standardized.
Yeah.
You see this in a lot of these armors.
Yeah.
I mean, they're obviously made in different workshops and that. Actually, some of the holes in some of those plates may have been to hold a fabric cover on,
Yeah. Could be. Yeah.
which might be one of the reasons we don't see these. I mean, we do see them in miniatures, but not as often as you probably
Yeah.
think you should. They're really see what gets me about this is they're totally agnostic about which direction the plates overlap. So the ones on the horse's back are overlapping from bottom to top. The ones on the horse's tailpiece are overlapping from top to bottom. The
Yes.
ones on the sides, the flanks of the horses are overlapping from top to bottom. It didn't matter because it still worked.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Okay, now
Very
we go
nice.
to Khavaraname, that beautiful, beautiful. We talked about it already here with Beat,
Yeah.
but we are not going to talk about weapons. We are going to only talk about horse armor, which is the focus. Interesting is Khavaraname, in contrast to all other Persian manuscripts I have seen and did research on, is the only manuscripts which all horses are armored, besides
Mm-hmm.
one which is a mule. Only one mule
Yeah, and
comes
that's
unarmored. The rest are all armored horses, and you don't see it in because in some many Persian miniatures you see armored horses next to less armored or not armored horses. And this one,
yeah.
all are armored besides one, which is a
And
mule.
the coverage of the armor, but I'm looking at the necks. Um, they all have exposed throats
Yes,
and they all have like a padded central spine cover which straps go over. This is, I think, makes the armor more comfortable for the horse and easier to manufacture.
yeah,
There's at least 3 different types of horse armor. There may be more because they look like armor that's laminated with scales riveted to the bands, and then either they could be just laced together. There's
yeah,
Japanese armors that are solid bands that are just tightly laced together like that. No flexibility in the up and down movement, but some bendy flexibility, not a lot. Um, the so we've got on the extreme left what appears to be a brigandine,
yeah,
black fabric with brass rivets, maybe. Um, the next one, the green one, if you see it has those kind of stitching marks or lacing marks on the top of each row, but there are also what appear to be rivets not randomly, in rows in the bands,
Yeah.
which suggests that there are plates riveted into the bands. Now, because it's on a horse's back and horses don't normally wear clothing, it's probably lined with a padded lining, maybe 3 or 4 layers of linen or some other cloth. Or it could be felt, because felt is really good for that kind of stuff. Um, then the next one, the more turquoise coloured one, seems to be of roughly the same pattern as the green one. And in fact, the two warriors are pretty much armored, uh, largely the same.
Yeah.
Then the more mauvey coloured armor, it's really kind of in the same style, but the rivets aren't so prominent, though they're there if you look really carefully.
Yeah.
So I'd say maybe there's really only two main types of armor: a simple brigandine and a more complex laminated type of brigandine, where you've attached scales to bands of leather or
Yes.
something and then lace those bands together.
Yes.
Again, these are
Here we have
manufacturing
a,
choices.
when you have a close up, you see this, right, Pete? Look.
Yeah, yeah, you can see the rivet heads, which are almost certainly holding plates
Yes.
underneath that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the if you think about the logic of this, if you've got a factory that makes horse armor for you, or it might be just a village and everybody in their backyard does it. If you start out making laminated or lamellar armor, and you've got the patterns and everything cut out for it, it'd be very simple to take that pattern and add plates to it to produce a heavier armor. And you would only need a blacksmith to make the plates and drift the holes in them and then rivet it to whatever the material is. Now, I'm guessing the uniformity of color in that probably means it's leather.
Yes.
Doesn't have
Um,
to be, it could simply be fabric, but leather makes more sense. Those little stitches, if they're lacing points between, slightly overlapping bands, that would make a lot of sense if it was leather.
yes.
And the thing about having a brigandine
Yeah.
is you can see the rivets, but you can't tell if there's a plate underneath it.
Yes.
So it has the thing that you may not have as effective an armor as it looks, but it will deter somebody from testing it because they think, oh,
Mhm.
it's not going to go through that. We'll aim for this and then miss entirely. Uh, there's a bit of psychological warfare there. So this is again is very similar. The
Yeah.
the more orange one, there's not much indication of any rivets, so that could be just laminated leather
Yeah.
that's tightly stitched together. So it's not meant to move against each other. It's to
Yeah.
form a fixed shapes. Horse's neck exposed, but again, they were all wearing chamfrons.
Yeah.
And if the horse's head, see, they're riding these nearly always are meant to be riding with ring bits, curb bits,
Yeah.
so not snaffle bits. And the type of riding you do with that tends to hold the horse's head down a bit,
Yeah.
which means that chamfron would stop people from being able to get in towards its neck unless they were on the ground and stabbing upwards or something. Uh, as I say, I'm puzzled that I'm guessing that the way they made the armor, they made the two sides of the neck as separate pieces, and they had a padded strip down the center of the horse's backbone, and the two sides are attached by straps. It
Yeah.
looks like that.
Yeah.
This might have been really practical because
Yeah.
remember, again, in Timurid period, we're talking about really long distance campaigns.
Yeah.
So you can't make an armor that's going to be really stressful to the horse. Now, the other thing to remember is they didn't wear the armor when they were marching. The armor would have been put on before they thought a battle was going to occur or if
Yes.
they were in hostile territory. So it would be something that you would need to be able to put on in a reasonable amount of time. So when you look at it and when you look at the plate and mail armor that we looked at before,
Yeah.
think of how that's made to be quickly assembled. You could flat pack it
Yeah.
like an IKEA piece of furniture, put it in a box, put it on a mule's back or in a cart, and when you thought there was going to be a battle, you could take it out and get it reassembled and put on the horse's back in probably less than 10 minutes if you practice it, and 20 minutes if you weren't quite sure what you were doing. These things, there's more than one reason why they do things. and it's always worthwhile to think,
Yes.
why is that armor? Does it look as though it's easy to put on?
Yes.
And the answer is probably because
Yes.
it had to be put on fairly quickly.
Here a
You
close up.
notice they always make a little piece for the horse's tail
Yes.
because your
Always.
horse likes to be able to flap its tail around. And there's certain things about the design of these that suggest to me that the artist was looking at real
But
armors when they did it.
we have been doing it now for a long time, and we have published a lot, and we are going to publish more in academic journals. But one of the things I like about the videos we do online is because we make the pictures really large and big to look at, and we always discover more things. You know, have you realized
Oh
that?
yeah, this is the truth, isn't it? Because because when we're writing, we write something and send it to the other person, and they write something, and we both read it and then think, oh no, this doesn't fit, and then we
Yeah,
adjust it and everything. But when we're talking, we can do that much quicker and much more dynamically.
yeah,
And
yes, yeah,
I think over the next few years, because we're doing these, some of our articles are going to be more productive because we've been able to think these out.
yes,
See,
absolutely,
we operate continents apart,
yes.
uh, and I envy people who are working in the same university together where they can knock on someone's door. I've just had this idea. What do you think of this? Because we've got to send emails and draw pictures, and it can be quite complicated.